This man has been in our lexicon since we were since birth. I remember being in the nursery, looking at TV, seeing him.
You say the nursery.
Yeah, he probably was the same age, but you'll run with it, But throughout these defining eras, he has transcended Heather B.
Yes.
And he hasn't had to do much but be himself. Wow. And that's when you know someone has become iconic. He doesn't follow trends. He sets them. He ain't even concerned about them. Trends attach themselves to him. And we watched him evolve as a young man into a grown man, as a thespian, as a poet, as a musician.
Yep.
He's just been an outstanding individual. He's been very open and transparent. His emotional intelligence exceeds that of your average human being. Anytime you could be that open about who you are in your life and share that with the public, that's an amazing thing. So when I see this man, I get chills. Oh, man, my cells vibrate. That's that kinetic energy that this man possesses, Tracy G. So whatever he touches, I want to support. I have to support. I want to welcome him back to talk about his new podcast, Not All Hood, a.k.a. Nah, the one and only, the iconic, the legendary, the amazing Malcolm Jamal Warner has returned, damn it. He returned. Get that man a standing ovation. Give him a standing ovation, man. Get that man a standing ovation, man. Oh. Get that man a standing ovation, man. Come on, man. You are a pillar. You are a fixer.
You got me on some Oprah shit right now.
Man. Come on, man.
Wow. Thank you.
No, they say, man, they tear us down. I build us up. It ain't easy being who you are. It hasn't been easy. It's not when your life is in front of the world constantly, consistently. You have to navigate. You got to do all that personal work.
Right.
You got to be deep all the time.
that personal work is real.
The personal work is real. Man. So, man, I just want to let you know I was excited. I got off a red eye.
Yep.
I said Heather and I were hosting an event this weekend in my hometown, Oakland, when we were actually in Berkeley. I just like to shout out Oakland. With kids who are excelling academically, African-American kids who are doing well in their academics. And
that's what we want to normalize.
That's what we want to normalize.
We don't want that shit to be special. We want that to be, that's who we are.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yes, right?
Yeah, man.
We were saying that to them, to the African-American Regional Educational Alliances, Robin Fisher and Leah Fisher.
Yeah.
And we were saying to all these amazing 1,500 kids at Zellerbach Hall on the UC Berkeley campus. I took courses at UC Berkeley. My mother made me in high school during the summertime. That's why I had to point that out. I shouldn't have been doing that in the summer. I should have been playing ball. And we were talking to these kids, and it was like, what are some of the things we like to celebrate? The NBA championship is here. Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Right. Somebody dropped a new album. Ooh, we celebrate when people come out of jail. He got out of jail. We have parties. We want to normalize when people have we want to celebrate everything that happens from shoulders up.
Yeah, man.
Right?
No doubt.
We're going to celebrate. We're going to applaud the fact that you achieved your goal academically, because that represents the discipline, the commitment, the investment you made, the personal investment that you made in yourself. And those kids were. And listen, man, I say that to say that you have done the same thing for kids in terms of inspiring them just by even the characters you played, but most importantly, the way you've walked when you're not on camera and when you're not on that mic. So I was happy to get on that plane, Malcolm Jamal Warner, and not sleep.
Yo, gotta say, and so I appreciate that, and I think one of the reasons why the emotions came up for me is because I've spent so much of the early part of my life listening to like being celebrated on one hand, but paying way too much attention to the naysayers, right? Like we didn't have the term haters back then, but like I grew up, listening to kids who were like, well, you just America's favorite white black boy. Right?
Right.
So I grew up paying way too much attention to the people who, for whatever their own reasons, were giving me the opposite of love. And even though I'm walking through life, I'm getting all this love, right? Not just in my home, but I'm getting all this love from people. But it was the people who didn't like me that that affected me more. So now as an adult, as a full-grown adult, being able to like hear those things and really be able to accept them in a way that I hadn't before, it makes it like an emotional thing, because it's like, like all that shit, everything you said is true. And I'm not, and I'm not on some, not being on some ego shit, but like really just receiving, and allowing it.
Man, letting it land.
Yeah, so that's why like you just got me on a, also I've been up all night too. But you just got me in
Caught you in the right.
Dog. Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, it's all love, man. It feel
it,
good
man.
to cry, man. Shit, I wish I could have cried while I was saying it. I damn near did when I saw you. That's why I wouldn't look at you. I ain't gonna look at Malcolm. But you brought your team with you, man. You brought your team, and this the first one that I want to introduce. I've come up, and I didn't start off as somebody who wanted to be in journalism. I just kind of landed in it because I was just taking any opportunity that came my way. I started as an artist, and then I went into radio, but not because I wanted to be a broadcaster, it's because I needed a job, right? And I wanted to do it well. That was just the hip hop in me. We always wanted to excel back then. It was about being an innovator, being your own person. But I learned. I listened and learned, and the Tom Joyners of the world and all these different people I studied and respected highly, those folks who studied journalism, broadcast journalism, whatever kind of journalism that it is. So when I went to MTV News and I wanted to do more with that, didn't consider myself a journalist. But I learned it all. I studied some of those people who were there, the John Norrises, the Kurt Loaders, and some of those music journalists that became iconic. And I wanted to know, my office was in between both of them. So I'm taking information from this one, information from that one, put my own spin on it. And then I started covering more hard news, shock and awe, when we did what we did in Iraq, and going on voting campaigns and being on the road with John Edwards and Senator Clinton and all of these different, Senator McCain when he was running, and just learning how difficult it is to do that kind of hard journalism correctly, right?
Yeah.
Where you're not in the way of the story, and you're able to find facts, and people, you could be the person that they source check because you've always been so accurate. And so I've watched your work over the years. I've never known you, right? But I knew you. We just met in person for the first time. So I have a special place for a level of journalism that you've reached, the quality that you've done, the type of cases that you've covered, the kind of work that you've done. So when I saw that you all were together, I thought it was a great combination. I wanted to know what it would sound like. Please welcome the one and only Candace Kelley to the show. Come on, man. She's here, man. Come on. Come on. Come on, Candace, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. And let me say this. You are a journalist, right? We know that. Anybody who has stories to tell, when we talk about historians, the way that they craft their story, it's not just left to historians. It's not just them, which is why this show is so important to me, that we're able to tell our own stories and reshape the narrative about the stories that are out there about us. Because we think about, you're talking about education and all the young people that you came across. How many people in this room have had a black teacher, black male teacher, black female teacher? I mean, unless they were teaching African American studies, let's be real, right? But in terms of that mainstream, so when we start telling our own stories and we continue to reshape that narrative, it's good.
Yeah.
Right? We have it in our own hands, and that helps. It breaks down fear in other people. So from one journalist to another, I appreciate that introduction.
There you go. Come on, Candace. Let's doing a thing. Come on, Candace. Being on the road, I learned how important community activism is, right? And this is something I was born into. Being from Oakland, that's a very politically charged environment. My mother, my uncle, and aunties had pivotal roles in the civil rights movement and the movements that were happening at that time with the Black Panther Party. And as a youth, I used to go to the soup kitchens. My mother would take me, and you know where I'm going with this, right? And we're passing out food to kids before I was a kid myself, but before you went to school, to make sure that you had the proper nourishment so you could retain the information.
Right.
Simply because of that, kids weren't eating before they went to school, and so they were suffering when it came to taking tests and all these other things. And so I want to commend you. This man has over 30 years of experience, right?
Word.
30 plus years. Yeah, right. 30 plus years. Art organizer. He's worked with youth. He's been in the community. 10 toes down. These people are the most important people in the movement because you never see their face. They don't make any money. It's taxing on the family.
Praise.
It's taxing on the family and it's taxing on the individual, but it's the most selfless thing you can do when you put yourself and dedicate your life to the community. I want to welcome him to the show, the third member of Nah. Give it up for the one and only Wayie Baraka.
I'm gonna big up myself. Look. Yeah. Yo.
Come on, man.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm gonna hit you with something, Sway.
Yes.
Uptown 116th,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Below where you used to stay,
Oh, shit.
there was a community
Yes.
center, right?
Yes.
Oh man, this was like 20 years ago, baby.
In my apartment building?
Yeah, downstairs.
Right downstairs.
Right downstairs.
You
Yup.
were working there?
I was working there.
I
Yup.
came in there a couple.
Yeah. Yup. Bang bang.
Hey.
Yeah, son.
You off the chain. Yeah, Dunny. Yo, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I went a couple of times.
Yeah, you came down there, like gave back to the community, talked to the kids.
Wow.
Yeah. So I salute your work as well, brother.
My man, Mr. Baraka. I ain't mad at that,
And
man.
that's no relation.
This is. No, I wasn't gonna go there. I know you get that a lot. Welcome, Nah, to the show, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Let's come back and talk to him. Can we come back and talk to y'all?
Take over.
We're gonna let y'all take over Sway in the Morning with Heather B and Tracy G. You are
Sway is
now,
out.
for the moment, employees of Sirius XM.
All right.
All right?
All right.
Y'all want to ask them any questions about any current topics? 888-742-3345. Let's go. Come on. So we got the brand new podcast, Nah is here. You think we gonna work this last hour, Tracy G? Nah. That's what I feel. That's an effective name of a podcast. Nah. Man, you've been active for all these decades. She's, court reporting and all this stuff. He's a, community acting. Now they want to get and be on our side of the mic.
Hey.
I know.
Now
I
they want to do what I done
know.
spent decades building this thing up, and they want to come and do what we do now.
Right when you finally called yourself a journalist.
Yeah, right? Candace gave me my confirmation. Hey, you a journalist. Been doing this for decades. It's Candace. You a journalist.
Damn.
Put y'all. Not all hood.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Why we call it not all hood?
Way.
Woo, man, that was not all hood because we're diverse in who we are. We are not all hood. We are the culmination of everything. We are a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're Def Leppard to most deaf. We can rock it all.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I like that. Death. Wow.
I know, right?
That's a
He-
great
he
dichotomy.
pulled that
right
out.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the title came from Wayie, and like when he first said it, I was like, oh gosh, that's it.
Yeah.
Because when we think about when we refer to the Black community, we tend to speak as if it's a monolith, right? But there's so many levels and so many lanes to the Black community, and not that we even have to all get along. Like I think there's this this misconception that we should all get along. I don't necessarily believe that human beings have been designed to all get along, right? Everyone in Asia doesn't get along, right? Everyone in Europe doesn't get along. I think it's just it's human nature that we have differences. And I feel like with this podcast, this is a place where we can recognize all of those different lanes, acknowledge and discuss all of those different lanes. And as long as we can have civil discourse and respectful challenge, then this is the space where we can all feel safe, right, to express ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had this real reckless reckoning with race in America, right? So a lot of times we walk into rooms and spaces and people have an idea about who we are already. And it's not that we're all, academics, it's that we're all hood.
Yeah.
So many times, the question, I will get the question a lot, oh, so can I help you? Or even growing up, I remember, going trick-or-treating and the neighbors saying, "Oh, what brings you to this neighborhood?" It's my neighborhood, actually.
Yeah.
Because they have been trained in the systems that are out there, and so as I said before, when we talk about not all hood, we're really talking about telling stories and how we're not really all the same. We're not a monolith, like he says.
Okay, then let's put that to test. Let's put this theory to test. This proof of concept right here with not all hood. So what we can do is we're going to throw y'all questions, topics.
Okay.
And watch y'all pontificate. We'll get callers involved.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not all hood. We're going to give you a sample of what you can catch anytime, anywhere. If you want to listen to that podcast, all you have to do is go to
Spotify, Apple Music,
all
YouTube.
the streaming services.
all the streaming Pandora too. So just say yes.
Yo,
Just say yes. Just say yes.
Definitely.
Okay. all
Someone
right.
shaking their head, so that's a yes.
Yes. Okay.
Of course,
Okay.
it's on Pandora.
We got the rest of the team here, so we're just checking in.
Okay.
Checking in with the
Right.
production team.
Okay. I'm gonna give you.
Wayne and
I'm gonna
Kelly
give
and
you.
Troy over there.
Okay. Right.
Everywhere.
Yeah. This is the headquarters. All right. So before we let Tracy unleash, I'm gonna test you out. This question is about the N word. This was about the word.
Let's get it.
N word.
The word
N word.
The
Because
word.
I'm one of the
Hold
people who've stayed away from it.
Okay.
Right? But I've been challenged by many folks who've given me some heritage, some lineage, some history to the word and its origins that has challenged why I stay away from it. Now, Torch here from Harlem, that's his surname. Nigga Torch. He loves it, man. That's what he likes. The words become so popular that other races use it and they don't feel anything about it. Is this a word that we vanquish? Is this a word we empower, or is this because we are not all a monolith? We can all choose how we use that word. Wait, let's start with you, Wayie. The N word, nigga.
And all this with an R.
Yeah.
Did you roll it?
It was the N.
It was
the N though. It was the emphasis on the N.
And I say it with the hard N. I say it all the ways.
Okay.
When I say it, it's not that I don't use it often. I don't use it a lot, but I'm black, and I have the right to use it if I want to.
Why do you want to?
I think that there are a vast majority, a large swath of people that use it and identify it as a term of endearment. Their point of contact with the word is love. Right? Okay. They know the history.
Got the grunts to my right, but go ahead.
It's okay. We know, but we've had this conversation.
Yeah,
we have.
Like, we know,
no doubt.
right?
Yeah.
That shit triggers me.
Yeah.
It triggers, and it's going to be triggering for some people, and for other people, it's going to be love. It's going to be vibes of love.
But it's like
that's my nigga right there.
It's like so I quote.
He's like, yeah.
I quote Dr. Daniel Black, right?
Uh-oh.
And he says, why would I borrow a term from people who hate me when I'm trying to speak love to my brothers and sisters? So the concept of we keep defending, it should be our right to use the word because it's about love and we've taken the power away from it. I say, okay, well, let one of these hip hop songs play. Let your white friend sit next to you and say all the lyrics and use nigga the whole way through and see how much power it does not hold.
But why would I do that? I'm not saying it doesn't hold power.
Well, that's part of the defense that we've turned it into a positive and we've taken the power away from the word.
But it's not an either or.
But then the
and.
question becomes, well, then where does it live? Because it is a part of our history, right?
Exactly.
So we can't not ever say it. right? So when you go to an August Wilson play, and they're whites and blacks sitting in there, we all come from an arts background, probably everybody in this room. It has to have a place, and we clap after August. It's okay then. I mean, in the arts, certainly, I think that it definitely has a place, but then people draw the line with hip hop. And that's where it gets a little cloudy for me. Well, if you're drawing, why are you drawing it at hip hop? But August Wilson is okay.
Because well, and so I have a thing with August Wilson as well, right?
But those are the words they were using back then.
Yes. So that's why I have to I have
contextualize.
To, yeah, I have to
okay.
and have to honor that. But I think what has happened with hip hop has now become for a long time it's been predicated on nigga, bitch, the disrespect of other black people, and it's so. And I talk about we talk about how hip hop is like so much of hip hop is trash now, but that the subject matter of the trash hip hop we talk about, it's the same shit we were listening to. These young kids, so we are complicit in what's happening with hip hop now because these young kids have grown up watching us and listening to us. Listen to the same anti-black misogynistic content. The difference is the skill set is whack. Right? The execution is terrible.
So are you anti-artist?
Or anti-word?
I am, at this point in my life, I'm 53 years old. I am anti any music that perpetuates the degradation of our people. And unfortunately,
Get that man around
so much of our hip hop music. Listen, I mean, our hip hop music, some of our R&B music. If you take the dope beats away, so much of the lyrics are anti-black.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So to continue to,
do we just kill that whole spectrum of art?
No, I just choose not.
So, but there, boom, you choose. You make a decision where you engage and where you don't.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
This setup is funny because I'm right in the middle
I
of what you guys are thinking. I'm right in the middle.
I want to jack because I'm short, so I want to be like.
but Candace, I don't hear black women niggering as much. I ain't saying they don't.
Right.
I ain't saying they don't.
Where you at, bro?
But nah, we don't like that's. I hear you don't hear it like you hear how we agree to each other. I don't hear women. What's up, my nigga?
No, agreed. I just think that it's one of those things where, we all come to the table with different ideas about that word. Think about when you first heard it. What was the context? Was it loving? Was it not? Then that really carries you on through life. The same way we conceptualize about money. How were we introduced to money? That's probably how we have kind of worked our way around how we feel about money today. So I can remember for me, my grandmother was born in 1906.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, of course, that was a part. Not that she used it a lot,
but it was triggering.
But when she said it, and I remember once she said, it was like the way you said it. It was with the N. You heard the syllable. You heard the N. You heard the I. You heard the G. And I was like, wow, it was worse than a curse word. And I knew that she meant it from her soul in that way because of her history, the way that she came up with it.
Yeah.
Now I have a different meaning. Why? Because we were all in the arts. So I have an arts kind of background to try to conceptualize the word and where I see it figuring in. And it sets a real bad precedent, I think, to say, okay, well, it's okay in this context, or I have more respect for that. But then at hip hop, we cross over. It's just a bad precedent, and we don't have the tools to really fully judge in that way. You take the art and you do like what UC said, you turn it off if you don't like it, or you don't go to the August Wilson play, or you don't use it. You take it because we all have such different baggage that we bring to the table with it.
But also, I think the thing that gets me now is there was a time when it was our word, right? It was our code, but now we've just made it available for the whole world to use it. And then we get mad when somebody not black uses it. But we made it available to them. We've made nigga so cool to say. We've made being anti-black so fucking cool and so dope because the beats bang.
Anti-black, but it's not always anti-black, bro.
Okay, but we're not. But we're talking about what gets the most shine. We're talking about the hip hop that has the most detrimental effect on the psyche of young black men and women. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, that's just a segment right there. Nah, hold on, Wayie. I just wanted to give them a sample, man. They gotta go. They gotta go listen to the podcast to hear the rest.
Right.
You see what I'm doing here?
Yeah, that's just the tip. That's just the
Okay.
tip.
Yeah.
So they warmed up now. So what we're gonna do is have y'all join a segment of our show called Celebrity Wire with the one and only Tracy G.
Dun, dun, dun.
You do know that just being a celebrity and having a good time is not a real job, right?
Yeah, it is. Being a famous celebrity is the greatest thing in the world.
Reporting on the good, the bad, and the what the hell. It's Celebrity Wire with Tracy G on Sway in the Morning.
All right, Tracy, break it down.
The good, the bad, the what the hell.
They're ready now, Tracy.
Well, I think this is a really quintessential topic for y'all as a trio. Because oftentimes when we have conversations around objectification, inappropriate touching, harassment, it centers the unfortunate experiences of women, right? As it should. However, we don't give enough attention to the unfortunate experiences that happen to men at the hands of women. And so on Friday was the premiere of the final season of Power, Power Book 2, Ghost, right? And we had the majority of the cast here on the show to celebrate it. You know, it's hella compelling, wildly popular, especially within the Black community. But what was spoken about more than that episode was Michael Rainey Jr., who is the star of Power, when he was doing a live streaming session with a really popular streamer by the name of Ty Ty. Now, Ty Ty's sister is a tremendous fan of Michael. Makes sense because he's young, he's drippy, and of course he stars on Power. But her excitement broke a very clear boundary when on camera she ended up groping Michael Rainey Jr. Yes. Inappropriate touching without any consent against his will. And so he ended up sharing about this situation on Instagram. I'll read you really quickly his statement. He said, "At this point, everyone has seen the video. I am still in shock and don't fully know how to process what happened. This is an unfortunate situation that I do not condone in any way. I can't take it lightly because I know I would be in serious trouble if the roles were reversed. 100%. The fact is, sexual assault is never okay, regardless of gender or status. We're all human and we should respect each other. Most importantly, we should always respect ourselves." And so for y'all, why do you think when men are victims of this type of behavior, it's not taken as seriously? There isn't as much urgency around the issue as it is for women.
Wow.
Nah, it's here. Not all hood. Get to the podcast.
Let's all go first.
Let's unpack.
Y'all are
Yeah.
men.
I mean, we know
I
that
got something.
men and sexuality and patriarchy and power hold a special place in American society, right? We know that the role of the man is often defined through their sexual prowess, right? So when men are harassed, inappropriate, and groped inappropriately, that it seemed like, oh, like, yeah, she on you, son.
It's a compliment.
Exactly, it's seen as a compliment. That's dumb as shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, we don't. It makes no sense. The way society sees it is ass backwards. Like, there's no real reason to it. It's American. It's the American way. You know what I mean?
But I think there's that, yes, and I think there is there's been a long time taboo when it comes to men and vulnerability.
Boom.
Right? So it would be very vulnerable for a man to say to somebody or have the complaint that this woman groped me. Right, this woman was feeling on me. This woman was pressing up against me hard, because most dudes be like, "Dude, you tripping?
Right.
What you complaining about?"
Right.
So it's a very vulnerable thing to say that was uncomfortable, and I think people we never talk about men who are, and it's so weird because we never even use the word rape.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But men,
that's real.
because when we think about men rape, we think about a man raping another man.
Yeah.
But we don't look at the sexual assault.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the
Rape
words we use.
when a woman is, involved with a man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very vulnerable place to even admit that there is discomfort in that, because if anything, as boys, as men, we're supposed to that's supposed to be a compliment.
Yeah,
we're
she
supposed to
groped you, dog. She
right,
grabbed you.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a societal thing. I think it's really hard for for society to see that as a problem, and because of that, it's hard for men to voice discomfort.
Yeah, and not only voice discomfort, when we speak about women and what we go through, not only just voicing discomfort and saying, now it's time to report the rape or to report the sexual assault. Now think of a man having to do that. And then we need to file a lawsuit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? So all of that is just a very difficult process because of the way that society has built up men and how they're the ones who are supposed to be in charge. When you have a situation where it seems like they are not in charge, they don't want to admit to that and live up to it. But the next steps for people to do, if they do feel like they are assaulted in some way, touched in some way, you should file a lawsuit. Now that's when people really start taking you seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it that we go to Instagram and then all we're worrying about is an algorithm? You should be in court filing a lawsuit because this is a sexual assault. So if you want to be taken seriously, you have to use the system. And that's something that, women had to get over too, because the system didn't believe us for so long. And then they put you through the whole process again. Well, men, you have to go through that too and set a precedent for other men to step up and say, this shouldn't be happening to us either. And we have been seeing some of that in some recent lawsuits in terms of this. Yeah, to say this is what's happening to me. But it is a scary process, but men have to use the system in that way.
I love that. Okay. Heather B, you want to tap in?
Yeah, because I want to tap in. Go ahead.
I think, specific to black men, just engaging, the authorities is a whole nother level to it.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
That's triggering. Yeah. That's a whole nother trauma.
Yeah.
Right? Heather, you want to?
Yeah, because my question sort of then taps into all of that. Black men, the authorities, the system, because we're dealing with a situation where people are now starting to ban music based on cases and charges.
That's right.
So I would love to get your thoughts on that, because you have a Tupac who is beloved, but he went to jail convicted for rape, and we still rock his music consistently, right? Then we have a Mystical who's sitting in jail now for a third time. We still play his music for rape and these different charges. You have Puff now dealing with the situation that we saw the video. A lot of stations refuse to play his music. R. Kelly refused to play his music. What is you guys' opinion? How we
have Nah here.
We have Nah here.
Not all hood.
How you cherry pick and you decide, because for us, it's wild. It's wild to sit here sometimes.
We here every day.
And we here every day.
Ciphering through music.
Okay, nah to him, yes to him.
Right.
But he has a charge and convicted. But we're still rocking his music because power to the people.
Right.
But no to this person.
His case is pending, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Domestic violence cases.
Right,
we still,
right.
What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, it's crazy. The whole hating on Diddy and hating on R. Kelly, people didn't hate on them en masse until it became fashionable to hate on them. Everybody knew what R. Kelly was doing 20 years ago.
Fact.
Everybody knew what Puffy was doing 20 years ago. But now, all of a sudden, it's cool to hate on him. It's cool to not play their music.
Cloud chasing.
Well, hold on. Okay. So, you're talking about hating. The system finally caught up. If 1990 was different than 2000, 2000 was different than 2010. Now we're in 2024.
You can't get away
Let somebody touch a woman the wrong way. They've got the power today. Yeah. But it wasn't like that in 1990.
It's been a culture shift.
Yeah, it's a culture shift. And so with that in mind, I think that's why, Tupac, right? Because it was a different time. Today, R. Kelly and on, I mean, really, the system started to really rise to the occasion with the Me Too movement and people finally paying attention. And I think that maybe we've seen a cultural shift that hopefully will stay in place.
I think too, DJs played a big part of it. And this is just my opinion. I think DJs decided who they wanted to be in bed with and not. Because to Malcolm's point, a lot of people knew. A lot of people knew. Maybe it wasn't something that they all expressed on air, but people in the circles knew. And DJs decided, because some people records did not get played. Trust and believe.
Right. Cherry pick.
They did it for other reasons.
Yeah.
Beefing with the crew and beefing with
right.
people. Their records didn't get played, but these other records did. So it's just a funny thing. So I just wanted to know what you guys think about it.
Come on. Y'all ain't got a deep dive on, you good. I just give tapping on this. You got some more, though.
But this is what I love about our three different voices, because very clearly I'm very strong on how I see things. But I love having the conversation because I love, Candace will have a different perspective that makes me like, okay, there is that. And I think the important thing of this podcast is, again, we can allow for difference of opinions and different perspectives. And though it may not change our point of view, it at least allows for room to see something differently.
Go through the thought process.
Okay, I like
I still
that.
think you're wrong. No, I'm just
Tracy, we're still in the middle of Celebrity Wire.
We are.
All right, what else you got?
Okay,
Y'all still working. I told them in the lobby, y'all working today.
We're just trying to get out of work, y'all.
This last hour.
But
Power of three.
But I do want to say real quick about Michael Rainey Jr.
Okay.
I think it's very bold of him to be able to make that statement. I think it's dope that we are in a place where he can make that statement and not get clowned for it. Right?
Yes.
That's progress.
Right.
That is.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy, what else you got?
Also on the subject of progress, we're still celebrating 50 years of hip hop, right? And what I love about it is it's created so many intergenerational conversations, right? Because one of the critiques we've had about hip hop over the years is it being ageist and how we can get past that and transcend. And recently was Hot 97's Summer Jam. So this conversation came up again because one of our good friends on the show, Method Man and Redman, they both performed. And Method Man, I'm sure y'all have seen, he made his commentary. He showed love. He gave thanks for the invite, but he also highlighted what he believed to be a generational gap.
Right.
And said that he would not be performing. So different folks interpreted this way, interpreted that way, but TMZ actually caught up with him and he further explained his sentiment. Here it is.
You know what I'm upset about? Because I wasn't mad at the crowd. If you look at the caption or the comment that I left, there's words like thank you, I love you, just a generation gap. I showed grace.
You did.
For the feedback that it's gotten, I don't think it's fair, for one. And for two, I would never point my finger at a crowd for not liking my music. That's not even it. I was there for Mr. C, and it was New York. So I figured I'm in New York, I'm in my backyard. People know who I am.
Right, so you feel like it was kind of misconstrued?
Yeah,
slightly,
absolutely
right?
misconstrued. I wasn't mad at the crowd. That was me having a self-awareness moment.
Well, all right.
Okay.
More power to the self-awareness moment,
Right.
too.
Yeah, always love. How do you guys define generational gap? And do you feel like we have it in more places than just hip hop as a Black community?
Well, first I want to say that ticket that he was on, I just don't think it was the right ticket. I mean, I don't know who promoted it. I don't know who pulled it together. But, when I looked on there, I was like, well, okay, I know some of these people, but I knew him. So his performance, I can understand where he was coming from, but I just think that he should not have been on that ticket. I think that was the problem.
That's why we said here, we were wondering when we first heard about it, I'm glad he specified I was there for Mr. C.
Right.
So they must have taken a minute out of the show to honor Mr. C.
Tribute,
A
probably.
tribute. It was a tribute section of this bigger concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe because we asked the same question initially.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad he clarified because we thought maybe he was just there for Mr. C.
Right.
But your question.
The generational problem, This is the generational problem right here.
The phone?
What is that?
That's
the
right.
iPhone.
That's right, because
The cell phone.
everybody
Cell phone.
is on
Sorry. Candace doesn't have an iPhone.
You know what?
Oh,
I
okay.
knew he was going to do
That's
that.
why I said the
knew
cell
he was
phone.
gonna do that. Thank you. It takes better
I was like the
pictures.
iPhone. Oops,
It
the
takes
cell
better
phone.
pictures.
Talk to him, Candace.
It does take better
That makes
pictures.
dumb.
She's Queen Green Bubble.
He's just
in
mad
our
at my
threads.
pictures. But this is the gap right here. You know why? Everybody's looking down. Nobody knows how to talk face to face like you and I.
Soft skills.
It is very difficult. You know, these people, people often cannot even write an email without using initials because they're so
GPT.
used to they're so used to. So that is the generational gap. How, in my estimation, how are we communicating with each other? Because if you can't communicate, if you can't speak to me, if you can't form a sentence and look me in the eyes, we're gonna have a gap right there.
Please bring up what we started the show with, the conversation, you and Heather, your experience this weekend.
Well, the event we hosted was 1,500 grade school kids in high school, and they couldn't smile. They didn't have an expression one way or the other the whole time, to the point where Heather and I was on stage, I started calling them out.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, yo, what's going on? Are we that boring? You
Right.
know, and then, but we start having this same conversation organically this morning, and I said exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
One of our listeners brought that up too. That it's the communicate. Socialization is a thing of the past now.
Yeah.
They're not being properly socialized.
They are not.
They're interacting through that party chat, one-on-one, back and forth on the video games.
That's right.
There's nobody behind you. That's not even wind in your face. You can't even hear cars honking. You don't even smell anything. You're never around people. So when you get around more than anybody other than your parent or somebody you know or love, you don't really know how to interact.
You don't.
And so, Heather, these kids were just like stone-faced, and we doing our song and dance. I'm doing my Malcolm, at the beginning of the comedy show. I'm doing his dance, but afterwards, though, like it was something.
Afterwards, for the meet and greet, they were totally different.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. But I said to Sway, at that moment, I realized it was their phones.
Yeah.
They did not have their phones.
They were
once
they were
had those
traumatized,
phones,
probably.
They were traumatized. They were sitting there too long without a phone. But the meet and greet, they had their phones in their hand. They were back into
back to
real
normal.
world.
Comfort level.
Yeah.
Their comfort level.
That's like their blanket.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a great book. It may be wrong. I think it's called The Anxious Generation. I'm gonna look it up just to make sure I'm bigging up the right book, because my wife is reading it. And it talks about cell phone use amongst young people and how the depression rate has jumped up to like 150% over the last couple of years. Is it the generation? Anxious generation?
What's it is, Kalani? We're talking about your generation, so you might as well chime in. He's only 21. He's the culprit. We're really talking about him. He's the culprit, man.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Anxious Generation. That's the name of the book.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kalani.
Yeah, it's a great deep dive into like the real numbers of the effect of young people and these cell phones. And he suggests that kids should not have a cell phone, I think, until 14 and shouldn't have a smartphone until like 16, 17.
They didn't have a smartphone until they're smart.
Wow. Wait, you want to weigh in on that?
Yo, because I think there's the generation gap thing is kind of funny, because we've got a responsibility as being elders.
That's right.
To monitoring their screen time, and to reaching out to youth and engaging them in spaces and with energy that perpetuates and promotes them having these soft skills and making sure they can have these conversations, right? Sometimes it's just saying what's up, bruh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that word elder, but okay. No.
Well,
It's like, yo, you gotta embrace it.
You better embrace
that. Embrace that thing.
But
like grades,
I'd like to believe that we are, in our age range, that we are actually the bridge between the generation gap, right? We have access to our elders, but 50s is different from 50s even 20 years ago. So there's still a connection that we can have with young people, right?
Yeah.
Our elders may not be able to say, "What up, bro?"
Right.
But we can still. So there is a certain responsibility, if you will.
Definitely.
If you want to take it on, right? That we can be that generation gap to, pull some young heads aside and be like, yo, come on, bro, that's not cool.
Yeah. I like that, man.
Or hey, bro, I'm proud of you.
Right.
Hey,
exactly.
Sis, I'm
promoting
proud
the
of
positive.
You.
Yo, that's what we were doing. Like, because those kids were so flat.
Right.
So after they received the awards that this amazing African American regional educational alliances organization gave all of these kids, Heather, and I said, Heather, let's just stop. Let's stand at the end of the line. And no matter what, I'm gonna make them shake my hand,
and
talk to me, and we gonna kill. We could cut faces. What's up, brother? I'm proud of you. That feel good, right?
Hey, what's
yeah,
up,
it does feel good. Okay, cool. You look amazing. Look at you, young lady. High five.
You their first eye contact in years.
Well, some of them tried to skip Sway, and he was calling them back. They were trying to run past it. Get back here, you two.
Yo,
but
work.
Like they were going through withdrawal.
Yeah.
Really? That to be off for that long, you are really, in a gaze days.
Wow.
And that's what y'all were looking at.
Yeah,
they needed that phone to, to shoot up.
But engaging that positivity is something that Nas about too, right?
Yeah.
Because we can sit there and we can talk about all the bad things, but we trying to encourage and promote the positive things, the things we love, the things we like, the things we want to see, the diversity of the people that we are. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And that's what Nas is all about.
That's what Nas is all about.
Yeah.
Not all hood. Now we know what it's all about. Y'all got an episode today. All right. Come on. Make sure you check them out on all streaming platforms. Malcolm, we love you, Malcolm. We love you. We love you, Way.
Thank you, bro.
What does your name mean?
Wayie Baraka. Black blessing.
Black blessings.
Wow.
Black blessing.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Candace, you are powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're powerful, Candace. Keep doing that work. We
Thank
love
you.
you too.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
this is
Thank
Nah
you.
right here, y'all.